Rola benje sanje jo sanje jodan soje shodan da pardo dan kyapso che dage chenso kebeso Rola benje sanje jo sanje shodan soje shodan da pardo dan dage chenso kebeso namje rola benje sanje jo okay Simon
I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddhist, the Dharma, and the High Supreme Assembly by through the merit of giving and practicing. Gosh, you know.
Okay.
I got completely. Go ahead. There you go. By practicing giving for the merit from the practice of the giving and other perfections may attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Thank you.
That's number one.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You made everybody laugh. That's good. That's really good start. Okay.
That's good.
여성 대화 주베 중국 주베 주베 특별 주베 현재 신인 남라 차세 로스. 오케이. Hours number 17. 이걸 배웠다 버스. 딱 해서 참자를 하고 싶어도 봐. 주두바디 16 이 나로리아 기루메단 본소단 술렌더니 원차다 다다 신도 냠바다 다다 신도 제벌기세 나로네 다 마란주 준주 단다고네 디 소레 준주비 something nya 준주 송고야 제정가 단다 루 듬버바 루 듬바 루지에 바 something you go so 영 겨울무치게 다신념지 보들이 수요가 남죠 제정가다 다신념지 세야 되는 일도 어디가 주 전주부 생기냐면 칭에 지글라 네 딘디기 somebody 아니 사침부진도 디기냐리야 아니 다신 제가 상로 말레비 뭐라 아니 란주기 레로 세두 점베 소소 카리니 제는 디그레세 상보 그러봐 오 딘디디 다 직마가나 아니 랑게 되냐 연구 말이라 신기 되냐 연구 말이 디인도 아니 단다 류 준비지 값소 레르님보다 야고지 된체 아니 디기 제소 아니 좀 맞습니다 레로 방지 가르치기 말라나 가르를 준비 말라나 아니 다신지 삼로들 좀 치료 단다 친구들도 와 대상어디 참조를도 와
So we can think of this seventh chapter, and particularly the verse here, which is discussing about the kind of the antidotes to the laziness, which of discouragement, of getting discouraged, and there's kind of and here the in the seventh chapter we're discussing sort of what's called diligence or joyous effort, and this is and it's sort of a question as to why this is presented here in the seventh chapter, and then later on in the eighth chapter, where is a discussion, sort of advice and discussion about kind of concentration. So here, the seventh chapter and the verses we're here sort of act as a kind of joining together of is kind of leading on towards the eighth chapter and kind of joining the eighth chapter. Joining up with the eighth chapter. So, for instance, in the eighth chapter although it's a chapter on concentration, there's a detailed presentation of the exchange and self, exchange and equalizing the exchange of self and others as a method for developing the awakening mind. But before this is such a kind of comprehensive, kind of vast mind, so incredibly valuable mind. And so before developing that mind, we also need to sort of, as a kind of a precursor to that, we need to work on our, particularly on our laziness, particularly forms of laziness, such as thinking that whatever we do is kind of okay. It doesn't matter what we do and how we act. And so we need to find ways, if we're going to be able to later on start to develop these very refined minds, such as developing the kind of understanding of equalization and exchange of self and others to develop bodhicitta, then we certainly have to kind of put an end to these forms of laziness, and so this chapter specifically, and the verses here specifically talking about the antidotes to effort and the antidotes to laziness, and therefore the the antidote to laziness as being the joyous effort, which is talked about in here. So it's a kind of way of joining up also to the 8th chapter. So we need to sort of see that connection. It's important to see that connection. Oh yeah. So the 17th verse, which reads, I should never indulge in despondency by entertaining such thoughts as, how shall I ever awaken? For the Tathagatas who speak what is true have uttered this truth.
최상가다. 달래로기 녀보. 레로기 녀보 때려야다. 준주 땡고를 송구요래. 준주디 아니 준주디 아니 레로기 녀보로야 도단디 안제상가 때나로 dom침부시래. 이 dom되는 남상하고 말 때나 시들 때비나 디루가 지금에서 다 디루 지금에서도 준주 땡기 인사야 봐. 디루가 지금에서 디루반이 미차데스도 지금 디루가 지금에서 가르치는서나 대다 디진시에 받는 덴버송비 덴디송세지 식디기 감상하고 그냥 커도를 지지 시작이나 아니 이 디루 지금에 가르치는서나 아니 좀 된 디기 준송고 말에 인체상가 좀 된 디기 칼린 지기 있어서 제대로 아마도 도스 지금 소소 상부시다 다음에서 차로도 와 다들이 연매에 가르자고도 쓰나 디나로리에 덴바송 외세지도 와 디포를 섬당사 지어 단 덴바송 외세에들라 란주 지단에 준바송고 말에 데바송고를 세게 좀 디마고체 디나로랑 란주다 디도와 제바송세 좋아 남겨 제송비 가베로 세바 제바송 통원줄 때문에 통원줄 때문에 잘라 무슨 전에 내가 아니 벌써 중수 구줄 때문에 잘라 벌써 뒤로 이제 제바 내가 느토 제단 통원줄 때문에 잘라 무슨 전에 내가 아니 중수 구줄 때문에 잘라 느토 제 모두 제바 제 뭐도 주세요 봐 모두 제바 제 되네 신고 때문에 잘라 이제 제방 뭐 내가 숨디 도단디 신고도 와 되나 신에 아니 내가 송베스 내가 가르송송스나 공원주 때문에 잘라나 좀 된디가 나와 투박해 숨도스 되네 중세 고주 때문에 잘라 미다베 고아이네레 다음에 비 남샤이네레 다 동라는 소로 또 고야디 가르고 요르스나 지기 그래서 우리 좀 된디게니 개왕 아주 개왕 아마 요리 치마 요리 니 지기 개왕 아마 디니 두스 개발레 버리 개와 치마를 두스 로야리 니 개왕 아마로 토메타요 말에 안에 타말로 두스레시 망고주 숨바드죠 상말로 아주 인지게 마소나 first are you going to buy this lana no 말봐 아주 당봉 아주 가리 요도스나 제장 단다 반대 추기 잡에 랭잡여 봐들라 제장 반대 추기 잡에 니 좀된 될이야 아니 자침부지에다 이시제디 아니 좀된 디기베 좀된 디 주주 땡켜봐 알아봐 아니 좀된 디기 아니 지 가서래 자주나로야 아니 심진 당 디데만 여바 디시 견토바 알아봐 자주봐 크리저만 보여봐 디시 잡토니 아니 되네 지금 가서래 오시 송도 대잠시기 얘기 아니 좀 된들 대버치고 말이스 좀 된들 대버치고 가르친스나 말로 고야 타르바들이샤스 타바디다 등진이 매 쓰고 또 유디 등진 매 쓰야라 다 되게 란즈마스는 고야기 잘라데 종년디 좀 된데랑만 미도스다 좀 된데랑만 미도스 제장랑 좀 된데야 아니 제수 장고에 디스 디나신 데바송웨 세디나로라 아니 좀 된디기 통원주다 중수고주 니리아 로메베 토네 나한테 그래서 우리 세제 숨바디로 와 신도고주 다 신도고주 가르스나 고주 차그래 아주 제바 가지고 지나디가 란주기 딱 가서 우리 리서치에 참내 봐 겔드 여자 아니 되네 다 롱기 제수 도고 대제자 롱기 제수 도당데 아니 단다 가서 니바 정치 무슈 개와매 봐다 정치 무슈 개와매 봐 캐랑 같이 개와매 봤어 오 드조 삼당체 아니 롱기 제수 당기 봐 나가서 롱기 제수 당기 봐 오디션이나 아니 덴바송베 스타 다 주보촌은 송고마르스 덴바송베 아니 덴바 디앙 송소 스티다 롱기 제수 당야기들이 롱기 제수 당야기 땅아란주 아니 롱디 오월 창들어 봤다 디송세 송에도 와타 다니야 디스존
So in the 17th verse here, it talks about saying here that it says it asks the question how will I ever awaken, and then the answer to that is how the Tathagatas who speak what is true have uttered this truth, which all sounds a bit kind of a little bit sort of, when we first read it, it's kind of sort of because what we're looking to do here is to find the ways of counteracting our laziness by relying on joyous effort. And so and here it's sort of we need to find ways to do that. And when we look at this sort of reason seems a little bit sort of, it's not very sort of strong or sort of manifestly easy to understand or easy to come to an understanding of way of thinking, where it says how the Tathagatas who speak what is true have uttered truth. Just sort of taking it directly, it seems a bit sort of it just kind of saying, well, the Buddha doesn't, we can rely on the Buddha doesn't lie, but we're not really, it's not really sort of going into a great amount of detail. So but the phrase that is very important here, which I think needs to be, it says in Tibetan, Demba Sungwe, have uttered this truth, the Tathagatas have uttered this truth. And so we need to look a little bit more deeply into this. And so it's not just that the Buddhas are not lying, but are telling the truth, which doesn't give us very much to work with. It's talking here about the qualifications of which are talked about in there are three kind of levels of the three kind of categories of phenomena. And the first category is to do the third category is talking about extremely hidden phenomena, things that we can only access by relying on sort of valid quotes from the Buddha. But then this is qualified. This has three qualifications which are very important. And these three, if these three qualifications are, if it's are correct, then we can consider the quote to be valid. So the first one is that it's not harmed by direct valid perception. And that's the kind of what we call manifest phenomena, which are not harmed by direct valid perception. Then there are slightly hidden phenomena, which are not harmed by valid cognition, which is a technical thing called not harmed by valid cognition by power of the fact. That's the way it's translated. And the third category is the very hidden phenomena. So again, the quotes from the Buddha need to be qualified by these three categories. And the third one is that it's the category of phenomena which are considered extremely hidden, which are not harmed by valid cognition, based in a kind of trust, the valid cognition based in trust. So these three are like qualifications for understanding the words of the Buddha to be true or not. And so in the first one is quite obvious, these kind of manifest phenomena, which are not kind of contradicted by direct valid perception. Then there's this second level of truth, the slightly hidden phenomena, which is a category which includes phenomena such as emptiness, subtle impermanence, selflessness, and also includes things like past and future lives. And for instance, the Buddha is often stated that we have there are lives which preceded this one, there are lives which will follow this life, and that they come from beginningless time, and they're kind of countless and limitless, and that. And so this is also, again, we need some kind of way to key into this in a more substantial way. So, for instance, Dharmakirti in his in the second chapter of his Compendium of Valid Cognition, the Pramanavartika, he says that even though the Buddha is capable of great feats and has tremendous powers, great kind of miraculous feats, and has tremendous powers of kind of supra knowledge or something like this, and kind of clairvoyant kind of powers, these kind of things. And they say,
knowing the countless
creatures in the sea, and being able to explain and sort of identify the countless millions of creatures in the sea, for instance. Even though the Buddha is said to have these qualities, he says, I don't follow the Buddha because of those things. What I need is liberation. And
in that there, he said that maybe Buddha has all these amazing qualities, but this is not I'm looking for. That's what he said. Very beautiful. Okay, but for us, if somebody is flying somewhere, then wow, it's amazing, let's go and watch. Wow. So then the practitioners like Chandrakirti, Dharmakirti says, this might be amazing, but this is this is not the I'm looking for. So what I'm looking for in the quality of Buddha, very, very, very precise teaching to us, saying, I am looking into the Buddha, that he has spoken, there is a liberation, that how to overcome the suffering is the only way to abandon the grasping to the self. So that really makes sense. So for that, what I really wanted to know from Buddha is this one. So this is the what?
Yeah. So he says, I need liberation, and I need this in order to achieve liberation. I need to remove and put an end to the self-grasping. And the Buddha is the only person who's selling this product. So therefore, and this is the reason I follow the Buddha, because in terms of we can sort of come to an understanding of the infallibility of these first two categories of phenomena, the manifest ones and the slightly hidden ones, through using either direct perception or kind of reasoned valid perception, based in kind of logical reasoned valid perception. But the third one, and then having done that, we develop a trust in the person who talked about those categories of phenomena in a correct way, because we're able to investigate them in a direct way. And then, although these things are these categories of phenomena, the extremely hidden phenomena are beyond our kind of direct access, but having developed a kind of trust on the basis of the first two, the infallibility of his words in the first two categories, therefore, I follow I follow the Buddha on that basis, not on just because saying here in the text that because he spoke the truth, because he spoke the truth has to be properly qualified and thought about. So not just that there are ways which we talk about people speaking the truth, such as like what they said previously or and later things are in accord with each other, that the non-contradictory, and that definitely we talk about people definitely telling the truth and not telling lies, but this is the process that we have to go through in order to kind of accurately get the essence out of this, because they spoke the truth, this phrase, because they spoke the truth.
So this is related to this one, so I will repeat that again. So people who really wanted to practice Buddhism and to know about Buddhism, and people who are doing the early morning practices and following their guru's advice and doing the commitments. So if they are losing kind of the joy when they are doing their practices, so the main thing to boost up this kind of energy, that's the really booster shot. Yeah, I call. So think not because you are doing this is a commitment, then you feel this like a burden here on your shoulder. So the best way is what Dharmakirti has said. I'm doing this. I'm following the footsteps and following the teachings of Buddha because I want this answer. And this is what I'm looking for. This is the liberation. And most people does not want to suffer, but they somehow suffer. And now there's not much kind of method left because we have done so many things already. And now only answer is left is face the problem. And how are you going to face it? Is seeing the hidden quality that already you have. That kind of maybe help me with this. Okay, please help me. 아니 sarmi semgi
그래, sarmi
sabomeba sarmi semgi nuba 오 딜다 아니 누가 체질다야 아주 랑신이들 긴주 그러지 와 랑신네들이 비교봐 이체니 아니 때라야 퇴소 퇴삼 곰지유나 랑신이리 세트 가르치잖아 아니 좀 세주여봐 때려도
아니 좀 세게
때려요 때려라면 도와 제가 좀 세주여봐 아주 이지 들어도다 제가 반대 추기 타베게 좀 세주여봐디 얘기가 그저딘스 산지 추 버진 집에나 나 산지 가위를 나 좀좀 두고 말에 아니는 야고 총송스는 되게 말에 알라마도 통도 쉽지 가송스는 되게 말에 다 가르고 왔으나 문에 전에 제비 다 산지 추에 나로게 믹스에 기초 가서 동해의 제주 주요를 sem기 랑신 왜 세워서 되 sem디 가두이는 동해다님도 대고 요마です. sem디 동해를 로스 대주주요를 카테네 대주요를세 또 그것이 시비지 송샤스. 디인도다 디게 아 칸데지고요. 최치고요. 디게 토네 어디다 뒀잖아. 아니 디리지 소소리 이제다 디리지나 도랑신 용사리스.
So again, there's an important way of sort of looking at this in order to help us to kind of naturally, because when she said about this loss of joy and delight in doing practices or whatever it is, and there's a way which helps us to naturally sort of awaken that joy and stuff, and that's to think if we think in terms of sentient beings having a naturally kind of abiding potential, a kind of almost like a kind of uncontaminated potential in some way. And here what we sort of mean by that is when we're talking about the two kinds of kind of what we call the lineage, or the naturally abiding lineage, the Ranjinirik, and the expanded or expanding lineage, which is the Gigagirik in Tibetan. So these kind of what we kind of call Buddha nature, really, but those are the technical words for it. And these so the naturally abiding lineage is there within us, this kind of in a sense in one sense kind of uncontaminated potential which is there. And what that says to us is that the stains can be the stains of our mind can be clear. The stains of our mind can be cleared away. That's kind of essentially what Buddha nature, or this naturally abiding lineage, is is saying to us, that we have this as a kind of innate, not innate, but I don't want to use that word, but kind of a potential within all of us. And that is actually nothing more than that. When we think about Buddha nature, in some sense, it's like that the stains of our mind can be cleared away, and so it's and so Dharmakirti isn't saying I don't believe it, or the other great beings are kind of saying that we don't believe in these teachings just because we like the Buddha, or we feel great when we see our gurus, or that we have great dreams of kind of auspicious things or something like that. But actually, this point, and this is what sort of Dharmakirti particularly wants to stress, is that we, with that potential where the stains, we can be separate. Suffering is not we can separate ourselves from the suffering. The suffering is not inherent to our existence, and that it is possible to separate ourselves from that. We don't need we can get away from that, and so if we don't need to stay in that state of suffering, it's possible for us through removing the stains to be able to separate ourselves from that suffering. And so then if we bring this understanding and connect it with the idea of and I forgot to say that expanded lineage is the naturally abiding lineage is then enhanced and developed or expanded through hearing the teachings, contemplating the teachings, and then meditating on the teachings. So that's the sort of more like on the path, but we have this, but even thinking about those two lineages helps us then to have a kind of joy when we're doing our recitations or other forms of Dharma practice. It gives us a kind of joy, and it gets back that joy that we may have lost.
Denpa sungwe dendi sung nus. Denpa sungye di dodi tiridwa kong changju laksangi shubin dosye tiridwa laksangi shubin dosye. Da dene di Sanskrit di karidebja.
Subahu, the sutra requested by Subahu.
Subahu sirwa. Okay. Di nal da karisung dosye na ani现在全部的羊他不是结束了的康大新给的大的提的 제장다 양라이드나 도다 기다 제장다 자구다 공동的자로的우버的승부다 장마다 정부다 샤장도 주고 대다 짱다 구리 친구로 와 짱 라나면서 전주도 청대로 주나 다 민주를 신도 속이 치량 전주 토비 준주 냠버 제 냠모 시도전배 아니 제 냠모 시도 냠보레시고 말에 냠모 시도전배 디데기 전주 르땅 투서비스
그게
속이 치량 전주 토비 준주 냠버레 제 냠모 시도전배 디데기 삼투서비스 유튜브 소소다 다디기 dom라디 개분도 가르도스나 다다 계속이
I'll read from the
고디지구로다 다니 대다 보면 다기 전주 칼라톱지 흉내 길로 오는 샤데 스티콘트 딜로드 컨텍스트
and so the from Geshe-dhamma Rinpoche's commentary on the root verses, which is it's in the group this text, it reads, so I'll read it. Do not be despondent, saying the Buddha alone, being of very sharp faculty, achieved his aim by practicing for many countless eons. Practicing many countless eons, the greatly difficult trainings, and accumulated infinite merits by making an effort in enthusiasm. Since I am not like this, how could I attain enlightenment? Since the Tathagata speaks the truth, since the Tathagata speaks the truth, he thus also taught this truth, which is suitable to accept, since he has no cause to speak deceptively. And then there's a question which says, in what manner did the Buddha teach this? And the answer is from the sutta requested by Subahu. Further, Bodhisattvas should practice correctly and with emphasis like this. And they should think, if those that turned into lions, tigers, dogs, and jackals, vultures, cranes, crows, and owls, worms, bees, flies, and mosquitoes became awakened in highest enlightenment.
There's mosquito out there.
You put Yangle as well.
I put
Yangle, which is his dog. You think she's already attained it?
No, I don't know that.
Then now, while I am a human, I need to practice the enthusiasm that achieves enlightenment, even at the cost of my life. So Rinpoche said that there's an important stress in the Tibetan where it lists all of the creatures, and then and it says even, so it means that even if those kind of creatures could do it, therefore why can't I not do it?
That the do step이나 치 상계열에 힘의 상계열에 차상 상계열에 아니 계란 가르치니 봐 계란 가르치니 아니 샘 슝구였을나 티 가르핑도
So if we think, so actually at the end of it says and so it's a kind of asking you to look at and think about, can you think about this? Or so if, for instance, we say that dogs can attain enlightenment, cats can attain enlightenment, therefore why you can't, why do you get discouraged thinking that you can't attain enlightenment? How does that how do you react to that statement? How does that?
But how do we know that the dog had enlightenment?
Oh, that answer is already there.
Where is the proof?
The 17, read the 17.
In the verse, so it says, "Do not be despondent, saying, how could I become enlightened? Since the Buddha speaks the truth, and he taught also this truth thus."
들어봐. 세상과 당보디 철당디 덴바 철당디 덴바 소당디 당보 통원 유tembe 잘 내가 도움도 그러다들
네.
되는 중세 고유 때문에 잘 내가 도움도 좀 되고 손받을라. 디니니 민두나 중세 고유 날 가려라나 타버도 안 참아요. 다 딕 건치셔. 딜을 너가 투하면 도나 다 되니 좀 되게 가르송 보이는 좀 전남 누구요 같은 캘렌더.
somebody.
어데. 가진스는 이버디 개체셔 봐.
이제
이버디 개체셔인데 좀 다 숨바디 말하는 주 이제 마찬 학고 투여 거려 맞다디. thing on beyond our human intelligence.
Yeah.
봐. 다디 인도 좀 당분이들 준춘 송만 송스. 봐.
이제
다 숨바디 송고야라야 아니 캐나가 지는 개와용도스. 랑치가 그래서 무슈를 개와메도스. 다 디기 신에 아주 이제 돼야 돼. 봐. 딜레사비 슈고라다 가르레스나 아니 좀 전에 디기 송데 가르레스나 이 기대 심이다. 그래서 상월로 산지에 요래. 난 결혼 가르치는 셈 흉부에 신나나. 봐. 다 이제도요. 다 기대 심에 산지에 요래. 이질레 차례. 다 이내야 수수기 란수기 레로죠 봐. 디 간데서 도도. 다들 땅에 저들이. 지금
dia kasete nanziti kase niba the ratus are in tembi the ratus and somebody any karina somebody sangi somebody hola nachi gewa member dan nishiki gewa member the tola shembani captain
니버디 개취시 잡아. 타바도 탐지 지금 고마워요. 부담들 와. 디 유여바디 땅 알아서 죽제 되냐면 디. 기대 힘이 상제 유매된 거 죽제 말해. 먼저 죽제 니버디 야보 용야라 숨버디 디기 디레 탑.
그래서
니버디 야보 용야 타바당 탐지 지금 고방 루비에게 쳐도 상제 좀 되는 이지치 거. 아주 가진선이 기대 힘이 상제 리서치만 치료 지고 말해. 아주 가진은 말한조 타바도 탐지 지금 고방 투비도 눈일 때 되는디 슈고들 타바도 탐지 지금 주중르샤. 기run르샤. 타디 가서 녀모 빵 두루마르샤. 오 삼로 네바진에 차 딩네바니에요. 저산 중세 고주라고 봐. 다시도 고주들 가르스는 슌도 고주 때문에 잘 당아 수남 싸고 봐. 수남 싸고 봐. 수남 싸도 잠베다 아주기 짐바 드려본 땅비나 아니 지구 컨텐츠 민그리 세다. 봐. 근데 주림 드릴 송보이나 아니 디다 디체발 컨텐츠 개원인 그래 세 추가되다. 안다다 디도가 키다 아니 심해도 조양 아니 상기론이 세야도 다디 고냠도님도 초초로 도디고 봐. 대인주 디디 중세 고주 나로 도네 디도 돼. 이네 다디 상지 좀 송을 돼. 이제 로고요. 이제 런 양스 거다. 당에 주거디 관한 거 주래. 키디 심이 상지 요르스 라바다. 아니 소소 가르치니 단다 길루벨로 디 도토부스.
So in terms of, so we have to sort of think here about in terms of how we're when we're talking about seeking the truth, looking for the truth and seeking the truth. So in answer to your question, what Rinpoche is saying is it's here in the text because of what I've mentioned just before, that you know, it's about the way that we're seeking the truth and we're looking for these you know, the so again, what the main things that we're searching for, our main aim or kind of aspiration is to achieve liberation from suffering and then and from the samsaric world, and then the methods which help us to do that. So that's what our kind of main focus is on. It's not on whether dogs and cats can attain liberation or greatest enlightenment or something like that. That's not our main focus. That's a kind of side issue. But the main issue is thinking about ourselves and whether it's possible to attain liberation. So then using, as I talked about before, using the you know, the third category of phenomena, these extremely hidden phenomena are kind of, what did you say, beyond our, they're above our pay grade, should we say it like that, and currently above our pay grade. So we have to rely on, so the main kind of ways of sort of looking into the truth are to look at these first two categories where we talk about the, you know, whether direct valid perception harms our understanding or not, and or whether because of the valid cognition by power, the fact harms or is valid or not. Actually, we're actually investigating whether those forms are valid or not. Then when we have a kind of strong understanding and those are the things which those are the things which are the most kind of important and valued and most the things that we really need to develop a kind of trusting faith in. So therefore, once we've developed trusting faith that the Buddha has spoken correctly about those things, and then we find the way in which the Buddha's words, both in what he's spoken in earlier and later, are not in contradiction to each other, and also the implicit meaning and the explicit meaning of the words that he spoke are not in contradiction. Then there's a sort of trusting faith, which is so that's what we want to attain or develop is so it is based on these first two, and then we have a kind of trust, a faith in the Buddha in relation to the third category, such as if we accumulate. So there is things where the Buddha speaks about how do you accumulate the great results that develop which come from accumulating merit or practicing meritorious things, and the results that come from, say, generosity, from the ethical discipline, these kind of practices, and the positive results that come from that. And also we can put into, but those are things which are kind of a little bit, they're hidden from us. But what we've done is take, because we've understood it's the category, actually the main category is the category of slightly hidden phenomena, which is things such as the existence of liberation, and how the mental afflictions can be destroyed. So that once we come to understand that is the truth, then the other things, these other categories, such as the specific results that come from particular practices such as generosity or ethical discipline, and whether and statements such as the dogs and cats are able to attain complete omniscience and liberation and these kind of things, then our faith in the Buddha's words has developed. But my main question to you here is, if we say that, how does it help you to get rid of your laziness, to overcome your laziness, if you hear a statement such as dogs and cats are able to attain full enlightenment and liberation? So you need to make a connection here.
The answer should be to sort of get you should get released from the laziness. Okay, this is the hint. Okay, not finished yet. Then the question is, when you see a hope, when you see there's a Buddha nature in the rest of all the sentient beings, and then when you hear these beings can get fully enlightened too, and then how your kind of enthusiasm shines inside you. So that's my question and answer at the same time. So give me the direct answer now. Yeah. What?
No, I was thinking that it pokes your ego a bit, because you're like, if they can, like, how come I cannot do it?
It pokes
in a good way.
the ego. That's good. That's good. How does that do? Which kind of particularly ego that you are talking about?
That we all have the same kind of potential there. So it's like, who do I think I am that I cannot do this?
Okay. When Buddha put the image like this, Buddha giving a teaching, and then a student comes, and then student complains, as we always do. So say, well, it's too much. I can't do it. So on. And then Buddha points the finger at the like a younger and say, come on, she can get a fully enlightened. So you are human. Okay. So then automatically what does the student gets?
Because of our pressures of birth, like as a human, that we have more capacity, mental, and if the dogs and cats can do,
That's right.
we should
Yes.
rejoice in our human.
You get 70%. It is for us. It is even Buddha. When two student goes to that time, okay. So the first student did his homework, okay, and he asks this question, and Buddha shows the dog, and then gives him the example. Automatically he goes, if the dog can get one, why not me? It automatically comes to in him. But there's another student. It's like, okay, I don't care, but he's still there. Similarly, this is what we are going through at the moment. We are not the first student. So the person who has so much hope already, right? And then goes like, okay, then Buddha gives like, even these can get a full enlightenment, not you. So the person that who gets the most benefit answer from Buddha is the person who has already have a hope, who has already have did quite a research on that. So that's why I just want to bring this thing, because that person is who finished chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that student not only just finished all chapters, but he knows the chapter. That particular person sometimes get drawn in energy, right?
Yeah.
Energy. And then he goes there, Buddha can help. But the person who already forgot all the up to 7 chapter goes,
Up to verse
then
15.
Then the person goes into that chamber of Buddha's staying and goes zero, comes zero. Just kidding. Okay. So the better answer would be here on the 18th and 19th. Dongbu Shadang Bungatang Tishin Simburu Kangjuba Tejan Jumbe Top Jena Kangjuba Tejan Jumbe Top Jena Chanju Toka Lame Top Dijam Tolocho Tata Riki Mirikela Penda Neba Moshebe Chanju Jeba Madana Dagi Chanju Jimmy Topsa.
So in verses 18 and 19 of the root text, it reads, if they developed the strength of their exertion, even those who are flies, mosquitoes, bees, and insects will win the unsurpassable awakening, which is so hard to find. So if I do not forsake the Bodhisattva's way of life, why should someone like myself, who has been born in the human race, not attain awakening, since I am able to recognize what is beneficial and what is of harm?
어디 보다 이거지. 다시 딘지기 니마데라야 아주 상계기 내가 요새 잠만임바. 아니 상계기 내비기 띵도 아니 똑게나 세들. 딥식디 내가 똑게나스. 아주 똑게도 좀 따르다. 똑게나 세들. 되도와 제가 저거라나로래 세우는 것도가 초 사나스 chanju toko lame kaza chanju toko lame chanju soro tobar suna da bri kebardo pabar mirike de samba kebarje chanju dubala pema nebe langdoro ngoshebe chanju gi jubalang des 준비 또 되게 초산나서 봐. 다디 빼디 망고 송도 좀 되게 그런저 도디께 상다. 딱 준비되게 또 폐지하는 요래. 안에 저기 나랑 아지지니 보고 디간데 딘디 시스템 디지털 기업이 깔라. 애니들이 체인세야 되는 거 요래. 그래도 이체 가고요. 세상가 다 디기 랍자디 약속 가르도서나 나랑 미 기업이 깔려야 라완제 개와 진입주는 제야. 디고 진입주지 디고 제로야. 라완 쇼지요. 봐. 다 튼루리 제차비 qabla. 뭐지 손놈 다 모놈 그또 다가랑 기 로샤야지마도 튼루랑 라완 춘이 요만. 세상 아주 저기 기대 힘을 써봐도 미 줘봐도 좀 그렇지. 봐. 줘봐도 해서 뭐라지 때문에 아무 진짜 힘이네 뭐라지도 왔어야지. 라고 알아. 봐. 이 힘이 셔봐도 요요 말이. 베나지기 들은 것은 다 페이스북다 디 인스타그램나 아무 통지도 와.
그래서
봐. 딱 지도 위로 이지 제교에 미신다. 간제 저게 디 냐도 주간에 마도스 바사데도 기대 심이도 좀 추나는 바람자 루비아스. 야 산얘기 차다 지우도 저기에 냐리야 클라트에서. 그봐. 저 드럼인데 아니 베나지가 다다 심진 다 손으로도 다 담신 라인 손으로도 저기 양지게 지금 심진 shumbatsu 고랑이 브레스 왜 그저 브레스 왜 프레도 adopt 해서 봐. 이런 거 통주도 관심. 나 들어 참말로 그 랑아요지. 아주 민나시 어디 제외는 아니 심진 샴바 종아 야구를 했어요. 되게 요말. 아주 요요 봐. 아주 요말. 뒤에는 그 랑아요 다 봐. 제다 마시니는 내 전에 여기 띵아 리피티션 핑크스. 딘딘이 요말. 다들 가르치는 거를 주바디랜드도 아니 티리비랜 갈당 아주 말한 저기 다 디겨왕의 메지지니 was lovely what 좀 되지. 다 디랜디리. 디랜디리. 소 사나 어디 가자. 대대 심부르 유리양 대신 심부르 유리양 유바 대장 준비 돕게 됐어. 준비 돕게 됐어. what 준비 돕게 됐어. 준비 돕게 됐어. 고주들이 다 좀된 되게 남타나로라 아니 아주 단다 청주부 셈 당고 제사디 예외나는 게 봐. 봐. 아주 저거 주의 원함요. 와 저산디 가르치니 깨버려서도 디 슈기에서 준비 돕기비 디 슈기 말기 때에 아주 마소네 소놈 땅 소놈당 아니 이시기 이시요 봐 이시 초도 좀 돕기 아니 냐바리냐 디고죠 태비고요 그래서 대장 아주 전도 심지 주주天사들은 뭐 통교 디치 데스天사들의 제일 요래 그래서 아주 균을 하고 해드렸다 어디 내가 전부 와 어디 됐다 디르샤 정부 시장 봉화다 대신 심부를 강교로 봐 대장 준비 또 개나스 그런 쪽이 아니 말이 샤베 소남디기 또기 아니 라메 청주 투발이야 슈지 더디도스 봐 또 개나 당아 디주 통원데 아니 말아라 치료 도도세 고고였다 아주 통도디 심젠디 얌체하라 상마도 코여들이 제도는 아다 딜레전 제토그를 써야 돼 기매와 보시나 어디 그러면 다디 아니 니웨딩 아주 다 주부디 제시도 쇼도 쇼다 주마디 된 니만 좀 더. Yeah, this is going to forever.
So I read the verses, didn't I? Yeah. So in these verses here, first of all, so related to the commentary, when we talked about the talking about having the potential to attain enlightenment, and also here in the third line of the root text where it talks about it says about flies and mosquitoes, and even if they generated the force of enthusiasm or the force of kind of joyous effort, then they could indeed attain what is difficult to attain, which is supremely difficult to attain, the state of highest enlightenment. Even they could do it. And in relation to that, in the commentary, Geshe Dhamma Rinchen says, it says, so those kind of creatures like the worms and bees will attain the difficult to attain highest enlightenment if they generate the force of enthusiasm and build up the accumulations. If they build up accumulations. And then it goes on to read, since it is taught like this, then someone like myself, having been born into the special human race, knowing what is beneficial and what has to be adopted, what harms and what has to be abandoned to attain the aim for the wish, the aim of the wish for enlightenment. If one takes up the practice of enlightenment and does not give them up, then why should one not attain enlightenment? So that's kind of, these many examples of these kind of things are, given in the sutras, where the Buddha says, it talks about specific kinds of sentient beings and how I taught them this, or explained them to that, and then they were able to develop on the path. But these things are pretty hard to understand. They're pretty hard to believe in immediately, so directly a bit hard to believe in. But one that what we have to think about is in terms of us attaining this kind of precious human rebirth, and that we have there's some form of control that we have in terms of the choice, making choices about engaging in virtue, or kind of making choices where we improve our lives, if engaging in more in the side of virtue, or falling down into kind of negative ways of actions and getting worse and worse. But there is, in the human condition, there's some kind of control there, whereas for animals, they basically have no kind of control at all. And one way that we can sort of see this is when we like on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, we see all these videos about animals that do things which don't appear to be the way animals would normally do, that kind of animal would normally do things. So and we actually say, we're kind of shocked and surprised, and we actually say, oh, they're acting like humans. They're being more sort of human. We kind of ascribe human qualities to them. For instance, a cat will, a fish which has got somehow got thrown out of the water, a cat will come along and kind of pour it back into the water. Or the birds will, instead of will feed fish, or the lions and tigers will somehow kind of adopt animals which would normally be considered their prey. So we see these kind of things, and we sort of say, oh, they've become they're sort of acting like humans. So so that shows you that that's a sign that actually we feel that we actually believe that in the animal realm normally there's not much control, because we see these as very surprising. And of course the scientists don't have any sort of explanation. Why do these kind of
they might have an explanation, but not good enough.
Yeah. And we also sort of say, oh, well, it's, the Buddhists will say, oh, yeah, it's just from previous lives, and sort of thing. But what here, and so here in the commentary that Geshe Dhamma Rinchen says to us is that, they through so maybe these things occur through the force of joyous effort and build it. Oh yeah, so the lines where it says in the root text, where it says, even if they generated the force of enthusiasm, and then in the commentary Geshe Dhamma Rinchen says, and this relates this to the accumulation of kind of merit, both the merit, accumulating merit and accumulating wisdom. And there's the 상기를 녀석의 그래서 전주기 쌤 탐보 기비기 가네.
베나 top 게나스 top 게단디 베나 런주 좀된티기 니웨 신도 전에 거리야 청주 쌤 탐보 게 지금 계시기 봐. 어디도지 딜 삼담비네. 가리기 top 게나스라 두자베 다다 치다가랑 디 시디 준비 top 게나스 청주로 또 청주 첨보로 또 디기 top 게이나 아니 그나 산지 좀 된다신 아니 니웨 값수야나야 세바상도 청주로 게지도 왔어 top 게나세.
So this again, this line, the third line of the root verse, where of the verse 18, where it says, even if they generated the force of enthusiasm, and so this is, also we can sort of relate this, because of that sense in which, because of the joyous effort has that sense of, the joy or to taking delight, and it's said in the kind of biography of the Buddha that of course there's a great debate around this what's said here, but the Buddha first attained he developed the awakening mind first in the hell realms, and so then if we can imagine the sort of and so this sort of speaks to the sort of having this tremendous delight's the wrong word, kind of enthusiasm for attaining the kind of the unsurpassable state of enlightenment for the sake of all beings, and then and so that sort of speaks of how
원래 주주기 또 거기에 보시잖아. 근데 저 시말리티게 이렇게 기왕하면 미리 된 거수 아니 배나 청주 청보리야 또슈슈기 되게 내거든. 봐. 아 되게 딜텐치 저바당 수름수 소하고 가리 제외이나요? 딜 주주요 봐. 디 토준주 거 봐. 딜 주주 제외이나 되게 또 되게 있어. 또 깨나스 또 제외이나 아니 니가 손을 제외이나요? 되게 내거든 로디.
So if we, with this kind of this potential, which is sort of to engage in the practices such as the perfections of generosity and ethical discipline, and these kind of practices, and having that sort of joy and delight in engaging in those kind of practices, then and then from the power that's the power of the kind of potential that's created by that, then if we're able to, then someone like the Buddha was able to develop the awakening mind even in the kind of the deepest realms, the deepest of the hell realms. And so the last bit was that, so there are all these and so it's sort of sorry, I got lost here. So when we see these weird events that happen with these different kinds of beings, what we normally do is just think, oh, how strange, or how funny, or how strange it is. But how often do we sort of think of that sense in which from the kind of accumulation of from the force of enthusiasm or joyous effort and the build-up of accumulations, that those events occur through that, and therefore also that through their previous merit, they do these kind of positive things, these unusual positive things, and therefore also maybe that they're also able to from that able to attain great enlightenment indeed. So this is kind of paid. So start like drawing an example.
So this kind of a picture or the short clip or maybe you'd see directly. So from now on, you have to be, you have to rejoice this kind of action, behavior, and also you have to see, you have to have this faith inside you. Even if I get the enthusiasm, the joyous effort in bodhicitta, and then 100% there is a way. Even I go to the kind of lower realm, but still the force of the merits and prayers, this can be still not get waste, but still it has a tremendous influence. That is the message, I think, here. So it's believing the force of the karma and the force of the prayers. And then in the short, it's believing in the energy. We go energy. But this, what Buddha has to offer from his side.
Lam because of Nyasa again I am.
Oh, this.
Yeah, so sorry. So then, if we have that understanding that the Buddha, from the accumulation of all his practices of merit and wisdom, the generosity and ethical discipline, etc., then that power was what helped him when he was born in the lower realms to still be able to generate kind of the awakening mind. And that in the same way, we need to get a kind of faith in that way in which our practices and etc. of these things will not go wasted, and even in difficult circumstances they can still bear fruit. Indeed.
And Kadamba Lama, the best power is we don't know whether we are going to die. So the best power is like Kadamba Lama and the first Dalai Lama, when his student, because he is such a great master and lots of students and a great practitioner, so the student have a strong faith in him. So they went to him and say, now he is in his kind of in 70s, and then they once intelligent student with a folded hand, and he asked his master, saying, now in your case, you don't need to worry about your next reincarnation, because you did such a accumulate so much merit in this life and from previous life, and you know the emptiness directly. So you will be reborn in a pure land. And that time, the first Dalai Lama looked at his student, said, I have never prayed that may I born in a pure land. My prayer is, may there is a benefit, wherever there is a benefit me to born in any kind of realm, may I born there. This is so powerful. This is so powerful. So now let's change the picture at the moment. Now there is a big lioness adopting a calf. Yeah. I saw that. That's why I'm bringing it up. Okay? I saw that on the Discovery Channel. And so now before I was so amazed to why. Now I'm feeling having a strong faith into this lioness. even you can see in the video that protecting that calf, she loses her weight because she cannot go out for hunting. She always protect this. So she might not have an answer for that. But now she, with the strong prayers, that is the very, very strong force of prayer. It's working. And there. Now let's come back to the human realm. There is a mother in every corner of the world. A mother, but a very naughty child, a very bad husband, so on. But she will never complain. She will hold them so dear. Maybe she does not. She will ask herself and giving a question to her guru, saying, even I cannot let them go. I deep inside something is really eating me inside, but still I'm here. Why? The best answer is the lies in the prayer. The strong prayer is still working from our previous life. So power of the prayer is so strong. And if we go back to the story of, I love to read this, Ramayana. Ram and Sita and Ravan. When I was a kid, that time no Avengers. So I love to read this. But in there, I love this very much because there's so much teachings in there. Yeah, so many questions. The questions comes because they believe that Ram is a blessed one and really like a god or the god himself. And then in the story, he cannot protect his wife, Sita. The Ravan, the antagonist, antagonist comes and takes away his wife, and the fight starts. And he lost so many wars, right? So then the question is there. Ram, with so much power and so on, with one blow of his arrow, why cannot he kill the Ravan? So answer is so good, saying the time hasn't come. That's the best answer in there. So why the time hasn't come? Because the prayer of the Ravan is not done. That's it. Okay. So now let's bring the 콘조님이 콘조 교회는 주주는 시베드베 투바 sixth chapter about the it talks about the patience and then the anger, the faults of anger. So when we talk about faults of anger, so why the great practitioners say there is no greater virtue than patience and no such a negative as the anger. Why? Because the anger is the best prayer. At that time, anger comes up, automatically you will have a strong wish that something bad happens to that person. Very strong. From the depth of your heart, it comes up. So that is very powerful. So opposite, bodhicitta becomes so powerful because from the depth of your heart, that through the compassion it comes up. So both goes through wrong prayer and a right prayer. His Holiness Dalai Lama, he's now almost 90, but does not want to take a rest. Always have so much energy to give so much teachings and encourage other people. So why this so much energy? From the force of the prayer of his predecessors. For us, we cannot, we don't have much strength to do our thing. Very less prayers. Maybe not ripening yet. We have it, but not ripening. So that's why we are doing so many things to ripen this. So Tantra comes in, and then purification. That's about it. Why purification? Because there's something to come out, and to make something pure, that will come out. So what will come out? All these beautiful things. The prayer, the strength of the prayer will, the power of the force of the prayer will come out. That's okay. Talk too much, but only completed two verses so far. So thank you for your patience. This will take forever. Okay. Thank you very much. Dedication.
Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I've heard day and night through the 4 reasonings, mind born of reflection on these topics of contemplation, it is discerned sever all doubts. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful generous and gates where please remain until samsara ends. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the grounds and paths I could attain the state of Vajradhara. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train, just like the hero Manjushri who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praise is the best, by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid.
Because the prayer is very important, then the dedication is important. So prayer, lots of prayers. So whatever we done today, how you gonna spend it? That's the question. So now you will only use that for a good use. So that's why the dedication becomes so powerful. I will do exactly what the Samantabhadra and all this, I will do exactly what they have done. So this is very good. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche.